this channel before. Internet horror isn't scary. I'm gonna be real, it isn't. It usually just fear of the unknown. Let's check it out. This is gonna be a fun video.
There once was a boy.
Ooh.
He was a normal, happy boy.
Oh, he was a boy.
But then something dark happened.
No.
Something bad.
Whoa.
He was killed in a graphic way. His hair turned white like anime, and his eyes become red and start leaking fluids. His vengeful soul merged with his favorite game, Furry Shades of Gay.
No!
And now it is said that if you play an evil version of this game, a spooky creature will come out of your screen and touch you.
Horror as a genre.
Bro, that is every single fucking internet horror story, man. That's every single one. Even the fucking Backrooms that you got here is based like that. Man.
Is massive. With an incalculable amount of stories, TV shows, movies, urban legends throughout human history, all with the goal of playing with a primordial instinct that lay dormant within every human being. Fear. And then the internet came along and ruined it. Or did it? If you've been online for any amount of time, you've come across tales, myths, and legends with a spooky digital aesthetic. From haunted games with Sonic but he's evil, Bear That Go, or
What the fuck was those feet?
or a seemingly infinite amount of stories that end with them being all in lay ahead.
You know what this started with, by the way? I think this started with in early 2000 or 90s. Fucking, I can't even pronounce it. I think that devs used to fuck something up or release products, like game products, that was basically looked upon as like pirated software. It was basically torrented game applicants, and they would send it out freely to torrent sites, but it would be a modified game file. So instead of like it playing normally, it would do something stupid or do something weird. And these kind of like creepypasta stories kind of like sort of spiraled out of the blue, because I think that it happened with Earthbound and a couple other like games where the devs just released a different kind of version to the torrent site, so people thought that this is the real version. And I think all of these stories has kind of spiraled around because devs just implanted weird systems or weird actions or things happening in these games, and people find it scary because like, oh my god, your game copies now like is cursed or is like haunted and it's doing all of this weird shit. And people yeah, late 90s for sure. Yeah, even early 90s. Yeah, because like I think that that's when like early creepypasta started like spiraling up. It's just because people found it scary, and I can understand that. Like if you're like 8 years old and your game started bugging out or something terrifying happens, I mean, I could see how this gonna fuck you up in a way.
But with all this content, is any of it good? And more importantly, does it accomplish what it sets out to do? Is any internet horror actually scary in a way that leaves a lasting impact on those who dare glimpse inside?
No.
In a way that's not ironic? Because a lot of discussion I see when it comes to anything web horror adjacent seems based solely off of hype moments and aura, instead of its quality or ability to scare. Horror and comedy are extremely subjective, is the thing that I hear online, which is wrong because I say so and I'm always right.
That's
Comedy
right.
and horror are a science with provable formulas for success. What makes you laugh and what makes you scared are the subjective aspects.
The best way to think about this is actually about music. You know, like, have you seen a horror movie? You take a horror movie and you remove the music and you put like, the music is going to make you scared. Mute it and it's not going to make you scared. Put clown music on top of the horror movie and you're probably going to have a laugh. Like, there are feelings and emotions that are very basics to humans, and there are things that are really gonna just tell you how you're gonna feel. Like obviously some people find something like get scared easily, and other people have an easier time laughing. But like in the end of the day, the fundamental of it is pretty basic.
Just like how you can laugh at something someone else doesn't find funny,
Yeah.
you can be scared by something that someone else finds mundane. Shouting,
How do you get scared of that?
"Penis!"
Haha.
isn't a joke, but it can make you laugh. In the same way that a jump scare will make you flinch.
Touch the androids' cheeks.
But it's not horror. They are two sides of the same coin, both attempting to elicit the same reaction from the viewer at opposite ends of the spectrum.
What the
Now, internet
fuck?
horror is an extremely broad topic to discuss. I might as well be talking about a certain orange creature of large mass with
My
just how vast
God!
it is. So I'm
That's
gonna do what
mighty.
my ex-wife did to my heart and break it into tiny little pieces, cheat on it repeatedly, arrange those pieces into categories, and then dissect them even further. There is a lot of overlap within the different genres of internet horror,
Did you play
sharing
the
similar
penis game as a kid? No, I don't even know what the fuck it is. I remember the dad take a shower game though. I think I watched PewDiePie play that. That's pretty much it.
stories, writing conventions, characters, tropes, themes, etc., etc. And I can't cover it all because I'm just one man with a broken cloning machine. But I hope that by analyzing the specifics, it helps me convey exactly why I believe that the vast majority of internet horror isn't scary.
Ooh. Nah, that scared the fuck out of me as a kid. The PlayStation 2 opening sequence and when it had an error scared me. The same with the GameCube opening sequence when it had an error. Those two fucking scared me. I would always be scared turning on my GameCube or Xbox when it was dark when I was a kid. And I'm talking about as a kid. Like, I don't know, like fucking 6 or 8. I don't know. Dude, that shit terrified me. GameCube was cute? No, it was scary. Dude, I thought that shit was scary as fuck. When it got an error, I was terrified.
A relatively recent phenomenon in the realm of internet horror is that of the alternate reality game, or as it is more popular.
Like, bro, let me just show you real quick. GameCube error screen. Dude, are there... Don't tell me this ain't scary, bro. Listen to this demonic shit. Huh? Imagine you're 6 or 7 and you're playing your damn GameCube. You're turning it on at like 8 p.m. and it's dark. And this shit plays. Nah. Fuck no. Fuck no.
Popularly known as the ARG. ARGs are an interactive form of multimedia storytelling that involves any type of mixed media that presents itself as being real. Being scary is not a requirement of an ARG, but online by far the most popular ones are the supposedly scary versions. An example would be a random YouTube channel named LunaPause that posts a 30-minute video of a static PNG of Luna Hell of a Boss with her paws out every 5 days. With every subsequent upload, the PNG becomes more warped and distorted, and on the 50th upload, there is a fart reverb sound effect playing quietly in the background.
Nice.
That when analyzed through a spectrograph, gives the link to a website, lunapause.gov, that details government plans to use Luna toes as a form of mass mind control on the population by
What?
inputting a code on the website found in the comments of the 30-second upload posted by an account, LunaPaw Hater. It will forcibly open your webcam with an image of Luna's sweaty toes. If you stare directly at the image for 48 hours without blinking, it will download a game to your Steam library
Oh my
that, when
God.
opened, shows a PS2 graphic desk with a box and file that reads, "People are watching. Just open box." Blah, 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 blah. And the ending, say it with me, is all in lay head. ARGs allow for an amount of immersion in horror media that is difficult to achieve through standard storytelling, because it requires you to actually do the work to delve deeper into the story. Horror and puzzle-solving mysteries fit very nicely together because the unknown is what gives both their intrigue. And when you are the one that has to solve the mysteries, it feels as though the story of the ARG is happening to you, or rather to the YouTuber whose video essay you're watching.
Better
But a
not,
massive
man.
amount of
Gonna
recent
get you.
ARGs seem to misunderstand exactly what makes something scary, or even an ARG. I need to bring attention to a specific letter in the acronym, the G. Game. For an ARG to be an ARG, it needs to be interactive at some level.
I can offer you an edge. You have no chance of gooning.
But a lot of ARG creators and consumers seem to forget that and just slap the label on everything. Kanito Pet, Five Nights at Freddy's, Don't Hug Me I'm Scared, SCPs, creepy Minecraft videos, haunted Gmod maps. Children watching a spooky, mysterious thing does not an ARG make. A lot of these fall into the realm of unfiction, which is just a fictional thing that presents itself as being real. What makes a good alternate reality game unsettling is that it takes place somewhat in our reality. Some so much so that it legitimately bleeds into our real world. Indie game Inscription has an interactive game within a game narrative that, in order to be decoded, required following a set of coordinates into the middle of the woods and digging up a floppy disk in order to help the community solve the puzzle. But subpar ARGs neglect this in favor of telling a narrative with easy, predictable puzzles in order to increase their likelihood of being covered by a YouTuber. Hello Neighbor is a horror game. But what
One of the worst games I've ever played in my life. I think this game is my #1 worst game I've ever played in my fucking life. It's so dog shit. Like, I've played a fuck ton of games. This is the worst game, unironically. And I'm not beefing it. I'm not joking. I'm not beefing it up. This is actually the worst fucking game. One of the worst fucking game ever created.
it is most known for is the Twitter manager.
I love how the dev tried to MatPat to cover it. Dude, he tried so hard, but this is like one of the worst fucking game ever created.
E-begging MatPat to do a game theory on their terrible game. And it's not an ARG, but its multiplayer sequel, Secret Neighbor, has one. And it is an example of a bad ARG, because the puzzles suck.
Also, like, the premise was so stupid. Like, I saw he tried to make MatPat make a lot of videos about it. Like, oh my god, what is the neighbor doing in the basement? What is happening? Blah, blah. Who gives a fuck about this dude? Who gives a shit, man? He looks like a toe. Why would I be scared of this guy? He looks like a toe, man.
And there's nothing scary.
MatPat, oh MatPat, I'm hello neighboring.
It's just like it's too bright.
And your reward for
ain't
doing the work
scary,
is the
man.
chance to play an alpha build of the, at the time, newest game in the Hello Neighbor franchise.
Whoa.
When partaking in a modern ARG, you can expect the following. A popular children's franchise, but it's evil. Random jump scares for no reason. Normal images stretched with the Photoshop Liquify tool with their hue shifted red.
Carmilla, I require gabagool.
Text, but it's evil text.
No.
The friendly character is the bad guy. The evil corporation is the bad guy. The video game you're playing is haunted. The video game takes place all in the head. Tropes exist for a reason because they worked at some point. But when the viewer is aware of the tropes and the ARG does nothing to play with or subvert them, then all horror is removed from before you visit the 2000s era website with the flashing download button that says, "Do not download." For a good example of a horror ARG, look to Myhouse.wad, which is a game within a game. Myhouse.wad is first and foremost a story of a broken man, documenting his descent into madness through the perspective of him developing and finishing a Doom 2 map mod that was made with his childhood friend.
Is this the one I think it is? Like, Doom has had so many map mods of crazy people. Wait, let's watch this. You know,
Myhouse.wad. The tone is unsettling. The story is believable. It's just the developer documenting his progress in the map's development and his feelings and emotions towards his deceased friend and the mod the two of them worked on when they were children.
Ooh.
And just as you think you may
never mind.
understand what's
It's not
going
the one I thought
on,
about. Oh,
You
shit.
don't. And then you get jump scared by a Shrek PNG.
Hello there.
And its terror lies within its lack of knowledge. We don't know where the author's madness stems from. Is it supernatural? Hallucinations? A manifestation of grief? Well, the answer is it's not real. But even if just for a moment, we could believe that it was.
And that's the hook. That is the hook, and that's what people are looking for. They want to get, like, the thing is that what horror in this genre of gaming gives is a story that really captures you. Because there aren't many things that do capture you nowadays in modern theater or movies or Hollywood and even gaming. Some people can get really hooked reading a book. People envision themselves in the book. Other people read just the words and don't get themselves in there. And the thing is that having that capture of a medium where you feel that so interested and connected to the story is such a fun, like great moment. And these games that do it this way is a piece of art. Sydney Sweeney does that for me. Oh, I see what
ARGs can be unsettling, immersive, and tell an interesting story, but only if the creator cares. But more importantly, if the creator understands restraint. But if the ARG exists only to tell a never-ending story, with clues that lead nowhere but more clues, and those clues leave us with unsatisfying, predictable answers, with every bit of lore and story delivered in the same unimaginative, derivative format, then it is not good or scary. It is Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, God.
If you have seen anything
Creepypastas.
relating to horror that has originated online, odds are that it is most likely inspired by or completely ripped off from a creepypasta.
Yeah.
I'm fucking the dog, Ted.
Creepypasta
What?
is a portmanteau of the real-world normal word creepy and the 4chan stupid nonsense word copypasta. Copypasta is just a funny bit of text that gets reposted to other places on the internet. Some examples being, "So guys, we did it. Just hit my dog going
Poggers.
70 miles an hour in my truck." Or the classic, "Hey guys, did you know that in
No.
terms of a creepypasta is just a copypasta, but spooky? Get it? Got it? Good." Because that is a vital piece of information when dissecting exactly why creepypastas aren't scary. By their nature, creepypastas who tick the most
Dude, it is so
boxes in the
dumb.
popularity checklist are the ones who are remembered. I'm gonna go over the most popular ones, and you tell me if you can spot a pattern. Jeff the
Live,
Killer.
laugh,
Jeff was just
Maggie.
an ordinary boy until he got covered in bleach while cleaning the bathtub. He becomes evil and starts killing people and has an epic catchphrase. "Go to sleep. You could be next." Sonic EXE. Evil, spooky version of Sonic the Hedgehog with red, evil eyes and blood everywhere, and the blood is hyper-realistic. Sonic.exe is the story of a haunted copy of the first Sonic game where Sonic is evil and begins killing and corrupting the other character.
And that's the thing, is that this never existed with Sonic. But like, you can see why I told you earlier that like pirated like games in the past were released out by the developer, like configured and changed. And this is where these stories appear, like haunted case, haunted game. And because like something creepy, some of them did some creepy shit as well. Like there's probably a bunch of videos about it. I think Earthbound is the most known one because it fucks you up in the end.
The game is cursed and is passed along to others. If you play it, Sonic EXE may haunt you.
Nice.
Squidward's... An intern at the Nickelodeon Animation Studio watches an unaired SpongeBob episode that features Squidward crying and depressed. He shows a face that is realistic and bulging. He has evil laughter, and at the end he takes his own life. There's also images of dead children hidden in the video. Apparently,
These are
it's
so
a real
bad.
thing, and it also may be haunted.
What you can see when analyzing
Like
them
it's like a 10-year-old wrote this, man. Like, some of them are so fucking bad.
by side is that the originals share quite a few common traits, predominantly that their writing is terrible,
Yeah.
but also they all fail at creating a story that is even remotely unsettling to anyone old enough to pay taxes. They all feature the classic hallmarks of bad internet fiction, pretending to be mature and adult while in reality being consumed by only children, a cursed and or haunted object that could one day end
Now that is a horror. Now that relic right there. Now that is internet horror right there. Okay? We don't talk about that thing. Now that thing is something I hope that we can one day forget, but unfortunately we will always remember.
up in the reader's
That is actual horror.
hands. Gore that is constantly described as hyper-realistic.
He was a serial killer who bragged about killing people.
And I don't mean that it is actually described in extensive detail. It is word for word described as hyper-realistic. Constant proclamations from the author that the story is real and true, and of course, they feature predominantly characters that are popular with children. Something you can't see from analyzing the original creepypastas, because I haven't told it to you yet, is that although the stories of old suck, they are at least original. They existed solely to scare people, and the creators never intended for these tales to develop fandoms. But in current year, that has changed. There are massive communities entirely dedicated to the evolved form of these creepypastas, all contributing fan art, fan games, merchandise, fan films, actual films, videos, continuations, spin-offs, and lore. There is so much lore about things that were never intended to have it, to the point that it actively hurts the admittedly already terrible reputations of their source material.
And I think that in some ways, like, I mean, yeah, they do. Some of these are so ass, but like I think that the fandoms are usually what elevates all of these stories. Like, look at the Backrooms. Like Backrooms was just like I think it was just like a 4chan post or some bullshit, and then people went all nuts about that. Like, people went crazy, and now, Matt, now we have like 20 games of this fucking bullshit, and some of them are awesome.
Slender Man works infinitely more at being unsettling when we don't know what the creature is,
I never
what it wants,
thought it was
or
scary,
why we need
even
its
as a kid.
pages. But at least it's
just a tall
self-contained
guy.
and leaves something up to the imagination, and doesn't have goddamn power scaling. Apparently, Sonic.exe, or as he's known to his Reddit miladies, X, is actually a dark, multiversal entity that wants to enslave all of humanity and also raps epic style in Friday Night Funkin'. The beauty of the early creepypasta was their mystique. Things were left unexplained, and that allowed for your brain to fill in the gaps. And to a 10-year-old with unrestricted internet access, that might as well have been the most bone-chilling, spine-tingling, genre-redefining, slow-burn, atmospheric creepypasta. Fear lies within the unknown. But when you know what Ben Drown's favorite color is, what Sonic EXE's toes smell like,
how
and
many
where
feats
Jane
of
the
Sonic
Killer
have you
was
seen?
on 9/11, there is no suspension of disbelief. There is you reading a teenager's poorly written creative writing project.
That's right.
And I can say with
Picasso to make it.
99.9999999% certainty that there isn't a single scary creepypasta in existence. And that 0.01% solely exists because I'm being hyperbolic. Obviously, there are good creepypastas. However, no matter how good they may be, they will never be scary. Because while reading them, I will constantly be thinking how atrociously awful every other creepypasta is. Mascot horror began in 2014 with the birth of a little indie underground game known as Five Nights at Freddy's. And at the time, it was actually indie, underground, and innovative. It was atmospheric, the gameplay was unique, the lore coherent, and more importantly, was scary. Not because of the jump scares, those get old after about 5 milliseconds. It was
Yeah.
scary because it understood how to manage tone. The unease created by the animatronics just standing there. You, alone with your thoughts in a dingy, run-down office. There's only the low humming of the fan on the desk to keep you company. You're completely powerless to stop the animatronics. You can only slow them down long enough to hopefully survive to the next night. Which juxtaposes greatly with the silliness, like the posters on the walls, or clicking Freddy's nose and hearing it go. And the lore surrounding it was filled with unanswered mysteries that were rewarding for those that were willing to dig deeper. Who was the phone guy? What was the bite of 87? The animatronics may get a bit quirky at night, but were they just machines doing what they were programmed to do, or was there something more sinister? But then, FNAF got really, really popular.
Yeah.
My name is Jacksepticeye. How's it going, bros?
And it is because of the unknown of the story it became popular.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier.
And then 12 games.
I think that the game itself came out at a perfect time. It was a perfect YouTube game when it came out. It was a perfect fucking YouTube game, and there was nothing to make YouTube content nearly of. The one-off games that were fun to watch were on a drought. They didn't exist nearly. That's why people played like freaking Flash games and bullshit like that back then. FNAF came out at a great time, and because it had this vague story where there were small hints, like Dark Souls kind of nearly, like where there's just like small hints here and there, and it's like this horror theme and what's going on, what is happening here. It made people spiral around to talking about the story more as well. So like the fact that the first game, if the first game didn't have the story aspect, I don't think it would have its follow-up as big as it is now. Because now the story is honestly what's making it what it is. You know what I mean? That's why you can see the newer game doesn't follow the old formula. They're like more actual games. Like, where is it? I don't even know what the last FNAF game I played. This is the newest one. This is the newest one. I haven't played this one. This one, I think it was this one. I don't fucking remember. Yeah, Security Breach. This one is like an actual game and a really good game as well. But like these ones were like more like nearly like very simple, very easy and simple design games that were more like not really scary, but has this jump scare and has its challenges. So yeah, the story really hooked everybody up. And then
51 books and a real
Jesus Christ, 51 books.
shitty movie later. And we have those original questions from FNAF 1 answered. They're just not satisfying and have led to more questions with more answers that are even less satisfying. And all of that is what has led to the mascot horror slop hellscape we now exist in. The basic premise is about as simple as can be. What if thing designed for children was actually scary? And in theory, this simplicity should allow for infinite creativity. But in reality, it allows for an infinite amount of ways to remix the same 5 elements with a different branded mascot that can be turned into plushies and sold at Hot Topic. In a quest to create the next hit game that Queso will play on stream, mascot horrors have adopted the practice of taking inspiration from the last big horror game thing, taking out all the elements in the development process that may be considered difficult, and pushing it out the door as fast as possible. Leaving behind a complicated web of lore that only MatPat game theory and children that are too young to read care about, gameplay that is bare bones and basic, and all elements of horror and atmosphere replaced by jump scares. And they've been so overdone and amalgamated and redone and repurposed over the years that we have gone from a bear standing menacingly in the hallway, the only source of light being its flashing eyes, a sense of dread that feels as though it may last an eternity, finally followed by a loud, piercing, to soulless, shaking PNGs. Jump scares are no longer a way to build tension or instill a sense of fear of punishment for failure. They are a nuisance. Make a small mistake, jump scare. Cutscene with no gameplay,
They're so
jump
boring.
scare. Do something, jump scare. Do nothing, jump scare. We can actually track the quality of mascot horror as a genre by analyzing the effectiveness of their jump scares. That is how we ended up with the Zoomer Slop abomination that is Garten of Banban, a game series so fundamentally awful, you should be paid.
How have I never heard about? Is this a joke? Is this real? No, oh no, wait, is this real? I play fucking horror games all the time. How the fuck do I not know about this shit? I played all the slops. What the fuck?
paid for playing it, and then receive an apology from the developers, because any amount of money given would...
Wait, I think I know of this. Maybe. I might know this. I think I've seen a TikTok.
would never make up for the time wasted in the banning.
It's so trash that Addy doesn't know about it. Yeah, if I don't know about it, that means nobody's wanted me to play it.
Extended universe. The gameplay
it's that
is
bad.
terrible. It is a never-ending series of go over here, get the thing, come back, go over there, get the thing, bring it back, broken up by horrible, janky puzzles that don't work. And while you're doing that torture, you're being pursued by AI powered by the degenerate messages of Gooner furries.
This does look really shit.
And that spaghetti code is wearing the skin of possibly the worst character designs I've ever seen. We had Jumbo Josh, Slow Celine, Ban Ban, Nab Nab, Sting of Flynn, Ban Balina, Opilla.
You have to be like 4 years old to play this, I think. Like, this is a game for toddlers. You're not allowed to be 12 plus and play this. No. No.
Good. And you will notice that they all have the exact same textures as DeviantArt fetish animations, as well as the same quality voice acting as DeviantArt fetish animations.
Now, we wait.
Okay.
Wait, no, Nab.
What the
The
fuck?
Oscar goes to...
Garden of
What the
Ban
fuck?
Ban.
What the fuck was
And it
that?
being a bad horror game, you are constantly jump scared, and they all look like this. And since you're probably a normal human being, you're probably thinking, Garden of Ban Ban is a joke. It's making fun of how bad most of the games in the mascot horror genre are, and is satirizing the common tropes they use. Nope, because at the moment, there are 7 games that cost real money to play, and with how little effort...
How much money are they making though? Like,
At the moment, there are 7 games.
I want to know, which one is the newest? Is this 01 the newest? I'm gonna look this up. Steam chart. I'm not gonna show it. Garten of Ban Ban. This shit is actual real. So the 01 is probably the newest one. It has 62 players. It peaked at 8K. No way. Okay, they're making money. I mean, like, it only has 62 players. I mean, they are making money. What about the Garden of Ban Ban 7? It peaked at 2K. No, it peaked at 1.8K. Okay, no, they're not making. They're making
Games
some money.
that cost real money to play.
That's
and with how
crazy.
little effort goes into them and how popular they are, I doubt there is any chance of them slowing down. Give it 2 years and we will be on Garden of Ban Ban 87, Ban Ban's allegations. Mascot horror is an interesting paradox because it appears that the less effort you put into creating your
I think Chibi Doki voiced the character for that game. If there would be ever any VTuber I'd assume voiced a character in this game, it would be Chibi.
game, the more you will be rewarded. You can have bad mascots, no horror, and no game, but it will still be a Steam bestseller and have 10 billion views on YouTube.
I gotta make this shit, man. I gotta make some dog shit ass horror slop. Because, like, they are making bank over here, man. What is this shit?
Because the children will just not stop consuming the slop.
They
There's
love
good
it.
mascot horror to be found if you look hard enough.
I have played
but why would
those.
anyone make it when no matter what you do, 5-year-olds will not play your game and instead watch a YouTuber explain the story and then go on to claim that it is the greatest game in the history of civilization.
Make your own horror game, Addy. I know how to make games as well. That's the funny thing. I have made games.
Analog horror is the current buzzword that has infected every aspect of internet horror. These things are everywhere. Analog horror is essentially the internet's version of the found footage film, which for the 10-year-olds watching was a type of narrative device used back in the olden days, the early 2000s, which features something being recorded on a camera, with the premise being that the camera itself or the data stored within it were lost to something, and the footage you were watching was that data recovered and presented to you. Found footage. And it
Oh
is
my
possibly
God.
the easiest type of internet horror to manufacture. Just slap a VHS filter over your video, take an old song, slow it by 50%, lower the pitch by 20 decibels, and have it play during every scary moment. Stick some black bars on it to make the aspect ratio 4:3 like you're a Ukrainian Counter-Strike player. And voila! You are now an analog horror creator. That is to say that analog horror
32
can be
years ago.
good, but the bar for entry is so low that the amount of subpar saturated content produced far outweighs the positive. Like every bad piece of internet horror, there's a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes something scary in a majority of its creators. There's a massive over-reliance on creepy visuals, distorted faces, liminal spaces, and strange things in the wrong places.
What the fuck?
In bad analog horror videos, there is nothing there to elicit any lasting fear within the viewer. Just a bunch of random tropes carelessly combined together that insist very heavily that what you're viewing is disturbing. Urban Spook's The Painter series is the best example of this. It uses graphic violence and disturbing imagery as a way of eliciting fear to such an insane degree that it becomes comical. The series consists of a bunch of supposed VHS tapes found in the basement of the uploader's apartment complex. It documents the police's search into a pair of serial killers that murder their victims in very epic and edgy ways,
Foggers.
showcasing their murders through a series of very scary paintings created by the painters. The videos are essentially a PowerPoint presentation with white text on a black background describing the crime scenes left behind by the painters. And at every one, a painting is left behind, commemorating their very scary and edgy acts.
Since we're all gonna die, there's one more secret I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for Urban Spook. What? Did not care for the analog horror series known as Urban Spook.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Oh my
the
God.
creator makes all the paintings himself, even 3D models.
I acknowledge that. Very talented. Don't care. Don't care. It insists upon itself.
The painters' body counts are in the hundreds. Every crime scene is coated in gallons of blood and other bodily fluids.
Oh, no.
The victims are tortured and their bodies are left in increasingly absurd levels of disfigurement, so much so that they have power crept their brutality to Looney Tunes levels of violence. Your serial killer stabbed their victim a couple times? Well, my serial killer stabbed them 487 times, and in 4 of the wounds, there were bodily fluids. Your serial killer strangled someone? Well, mine encased a man in wax, and also cut his eyelids and arms off, and also, in the wax, there was someone's arm, and we don't know whose arm it was.
Hey, look, Morty! I'm a leg!
Your serial killers don't get caught by the police? Well, my killers killed 3 people in their car.
I'll be real with you. They power crept gore. They kind of like, people like saying this. Like they like arguing about who's worse. So yeah, like you two making things worse like this is something that kids and young teenager that are really hooked onto this will argue about. They will like say this kind of stuff. They will be, yeah, but this guy did that.
And when the police show up, they're still there. And one of the victims is tied to a tree with their arms and legs cut off, and
no,
they're
Bogey.
still alive. And when the police go
No.
back to their car, the killers have left a painting for them.
You're gonna want to get down here and see this.
Actual Scooby-Doo scenarios.
Fucking
It is
hell.
so self-indulgent with its descriptions of violence that you can't help but laugh at the sheer absurdity of it. No matter how graphically you describe some of these crimes, I will not be unnerved because the paintings look like soy jacks. The man in the pipes
Fuck
does
Toy
not
Corey.
elicit fear. It looks like Le Pole Face. Flaz's Law. If it exists, someone will put a VHS filter over it and call it analog horror. Anything and everything can, by definition, be turned into an analog horror series, but that doesn't mean that it should. Sometimes an idea is so fundamentally terrible from its conception that no matter what a creator does or how well it is produced, it can never be scary solely because of what it's based on. An example of this is a series titled The Smile Tapes. It is a series about a drug that makes you smile and then kills you, and that's all
No
well
way.
and good. However, the creatures in the videos are created by taking a normal photo and running it through a smile phone app filter, the same filter used to create the when the imposter is sus face. So at no point during the smile tapes will I be filled with a sense of fear at the man-made horrors beyond my comprehension before me. I will be thinking of Germa from streaming.
Germa from streaming.
If I chop you up in a meat grinder, and the only thing that comes out that's left of you is your eyeball, you're probably dead.
Because of the ease at which one can create an analog horror series, there are countless amounts of pure garbage. The creators of the slop horror are inspired by actual good analog horror series like Gemini Home Entertainment, Vita Carnis, and Local 58, just to name a few. They see how many views these good projects get, misinterpret what makes them work, copy everything bad about them, change nothing but the title, and churn them out as fast as possible for some quick and easy views.
Easy.
This process goes on in an infinite feedback loop of copying and repurposing until analog horror's reputation is that of the creepypasta. Horror content made by and for edgy teenagers. Analog horror has lobotomized and cannibalized its own ideas to such a degree that it has birthed a masterpiece that I am unable to decipher whether it is mocking or embracing the essence of the genre. This video is titled Family Guy Analog Horror. It is a 4x3 VHS filter video of clips from Family Guy with a spooky slowed version of Amazing Grace playing over the entire video, where the characters from Quahog are killed in increasingly graphic ways, and at the moment of their final breath, there is a still frame of Chris Griffin staring in anguish at the camera. Somehow, through its sheer stupidity, it elicits a genuine fear response within me, because it gets me to...
I've never seen that. I've never heard about this before. What is it called? Family Guy Analog Horror. It has 4.5 million views and it's just a minute. This shit is making me uncomfortable. Okay. It's the music, man.
Staring in anguish at the camera. Somehow, through its sheer stupidity, it elicits a genuine fear response within me, because it gets me to do what so few bad analog horror series cannot. Ask, why? Why was this made? What does it mean? Why is Chris Griffin so sad? And unlike so many of its contemporaries, these questions have no answers, because every other upload from the creator is Friday Night Funkin' videos. By my own definition, this is not horror. There is no plot, the characters are from Family Guy, and they serve no purpose in the narrative other than to perish and be mourned by Chris Griffin PNG. But it understands, either through divine blessing.
Go forth, my child, amongst the sea of Friday Night Funkin' gameplay. Create a masterpiece of wordless horror storytelling. Chris Griffin PNG.
Or a creator with 10,000 IQ, that the less you show and the more you let your audience interpret, the more effective your horror becomes.
That's right. The unknown and your imagination is what makes horror good.
How does this image make you feel? What about this one?
Bro.
What about that? These are all examples of liminal spaces. Liminal space is an internet word used to describe the aesthetic of a location that gives off an eerie feeling of surreal emptiness. The actual normal definition is simply a point of transition, a hallway leading to a door, a staircase that goes to another level, pyrocynical in 2 to 3 years. When you gaze upon an image of a liminal space, you may notice a sense of dread creep over you as you attempt to comprehend how an inanimate area can feel so empty and alone. Well, if you feel this way, do not fret, little Flazeling, for millions of others have this feeling as well. The liminal space aesthetic is an incredibly popular internet genre, with TikToks, Twitter bots, Instagram accounts, subreddits, and games all dedicated to giving you that
There's a
feeling
lot of them. A lot of these games.
With its popularity, of course, comes the...
I don't think they're that interesting. Like, I get the idea, but like, every single game that is like this is just a walking simulator. I think that the Classroom and the Backrooms do a great job with this kind of project. Like, I don't think the Backrooms does that much of it though, in a sort of way. It's just the first level. But like, honestly, like whenever you know there is nothing to fear, it's not really, it's just a room. You know what I mean?
Divergence from what made the original idea of the liminal space intriguing. The locations of indifferent unease have been warped into actively hostile environments. I know that's a lot of talky for some pictures of swimming pools and office spaces, but I need you to understand that the misinterpretation of the liminal space itself has fundamentally influenced the horror subgenre that has spawned from it. The Backrooms.
Ooh.
It was simply this image of a dingy office space with the accompanying text.
If you're not careful, and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas,
no clip,
you'll end up in the Backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has hurt you.
The utter lack of detail in the original Backroom story offers a profound amount of terror.
I hate it when I
Combining
no
the
clip out of
unease
reality
a
saying,
smelly
dude, it
office
sucks.
building with an open-ended write-up allows for the mind to wander to places that it never knew were there. And these feelings and thoughts were shared by many others, and the Backrooms became incredibly popular.
Super
but the
popular.
internet did what the internet does, and took something small and blew it out of proportion. Now the Backrooms is filled with monsters. Evil monsters that want nothing more than to do horrible things to you. Siren Head? Skibbity Toilet?
It's just a new SCP, basically. It's just the new version of SCPs. Now you have Backroom, and I feel like it's a little bit more accessible for people than SCPs. Because, like, I don't know, you have the floor levels and shit like that.
Every SCP ever? We got them. How big is it? Endless. We got layers. And every layer is a different setting with a different threat level and even more spooky monsters. You are not alone. And of course, we got secrets. There are secret government cover-ups, secret government explorations. It may even be created by the government. There's a game theory.
I think the government shit is what ruins this series, by the way. All of this government bullshit is like, it's removing the abnormality of this and making it more corporal and controlled. Like, it's just weird. Like, I think this one where you had like people going in with tracksuits and going in fucking investigating, like I thought that premise was kind of weird. Like, I think that at some point you're taking the idea and you're spiraling so far that it turns like to doo-doo.
Here's
like, I like the original idea. I thought it was pretty good.
Have any questions? Don't worry, someone has an answer
Destroy
for
the mystery?
everything.
Exactly.
The Backrooms is extremely unique in that no one owns it. There is not one driving voice behind its creation, which means that its community gets to dictate what it is. There are some impressive projects based on the Backrooms. Game Pixels has an amazing series documenting a government agency exploring the Backrooms that understands at a fundamental level exactly what makes them terrifying. We know nothing. Even when there is a spooky monster, it makes me pee-pee in my pants. Because we almost never see it. And when we do, it is already too late. So, is internet horror scary? Well, if we look at it as a whole, No, because its creators misunderstand what horror is, and think that having over-explained yet still convoluted lore, references to popular media but it's evil, and constantly insisting that what you're watching is scary by having red glowing eyes and hyper-realistic blood and spooky-dooky jump scares immediately makes their story scary, which makes it good.
Because the scarier it is, the more mature you are for having seen it.
There's a secret I haven't been telling you. If you've been paying attention, you've probably noticed it. I was very subtle. There have been many clues for exactly who is responsible for the lack of terror in internet horror. It is my #1 nemesis. Children watching, consumed by only children, horror content made by and for edgy teenagers. Internet horror is a trend that is popular with children that think it's mature to like spooky media, which is totally fine until they start trying to create it. A good piece of horror will get popular, and the children will rush to it for a whole litany of reasons, either to use it to get popular themselves, because they genuinely enjoy it, or because they find it ooh so spooky and want to scare their friends at school. No matter the reason, the end result is the same. The market is flooded with low-quality content, and the niche is oversaturated until it dies, and then they move on to the next big horror thing to repeat the entire process. At one point it was creepypastas, then mascot horror, then ARGs, then analog horror, then liminal spaces. Eventually they will move on to something else, and the cycle will repeat until the universe ends.
Shit it in my pants, and for real. You should join my Patreon too. My pants are filled with some stinky poo. I shit it in my pants, and for real.
Yeah, I think that in the end of the day, they will never go anywhere further than being for kids. Because like kids' imagination spiral and they eat this up so hard. And in some way, I think that creepypastas and all of this shit, they have it. This is never gonna go away. Bro, people love this. I think the games are kind of cool. I think some of them can be fun. But at some point, man, the like fandom, like for example, Backrooms, it gets a little bit too much. There's too much added into it. And the mysteries and the uniqueness of it kind of goes away whenever you start adding too much on it. The thing with horror to begin with is that the less you know, the worse it becomes. If you can let your imagination take over and you need to like think yourself and like assume this and like go like create your own world within the theme, that is when the horror really achieves and wins over you. Those are the most unique part. I think this shit is awesome. Now, this was a fucking great video. This was such a good video. Holy shit, this was a good video. Never watched this guy. Gotta keep watching this guy. Great video. Holy, that was awesome.